Mexico, and that's likely to push the oil price higher. Let's talk about house prices now, because new figures show that house prices are falling at their fastest rate for nearly 20 years as potential buyers stay away from the market. The Nationwide says the average cost of a home dropped by more than 10% in the last year alone. Well, Fionnuala Earley is the Nationwide's chief economist, and she joins us now live here on Sky News. Fionnuala, very good morning to you. Falls are now in the double digits. This rate of decline must be very alarming for you, especially because you predicted at the beginning of this year that house prices would remain flat in 2008.
Well, that was our central forecast at the time, but we were very, very aware that there are risks around that. So we had projected in a much weaker market on the outskirts. But clearly, economic conditions have changed very rapidly, and also we can't forget the credit crunch, and that's had a significant impact on the market, both in terms of availability of finance in the earlier days, but also on sentiment.
I think it's fair to say, though, that you didn't see this fall coming, did you? Because you did at the beginning of the year predict that house prices would not drop by double-digit rates. So why were you so optimistic, and what's gone wrong?
Well, I think at the beginning of the year, well, last November, we thought that the credit crunch wouldn't last for so long. We thought it might be something that would resolve itself in about 3 or 4 months. Now, clearly, there has been more of an overhang in terms of the financial market crisis, and that's had a wider impact both on the housing market but also on the economy.
Now, as the Nationwide, you are one of the country's biggest lenders. Are you now seeing some alarming signs? For example, your customers falling into negative equity, and are you bracing yourself for that trend to rise?
Well, I think when you talk about negative equity, it's a very emotive term and people get very worried about it. But let's put this in context. People who've bought their property in the last year are likely to be in a position, if they've taken out a very high percentage loan, that they will be in negative equity. But that doesn't necessarily mean that somebody's going to have problems. It doesn't mean necessarily that they're going to have payment problems, for example. And most people don't move house that often.
Well,
so over a 5-year period.
If the unemployment rate rises, and unfortunately the trend suggests that's going to happen, so how are you bracing yourself for this trend to get worse?
Well, I think negative equity and payment problems are not necessarily related directly, and I think that's the point I want to make there. But in terms of the economic conditions, yes, we do expect the economy to continue to weaken, and we do expect an increase in unemployment. But if we look at the way that people have been borrowing in recent years, and certainly in Nationwide as a very, very prudent lender, and we look at the overall loan-to-value ratios, they've been coming down more recently, but prudence is the thing, and that will be the thing that will take us forward to a more stable market in the future.
So is that a pledge from you, perhaps, that you will be able to offer cheaper mortgages in the future and maybe get the market moving again?
Nationwide already offers very competitive deals. We still offer 95% loans to first-time buyers, for example. Many lenders don't do that. But we are very, very conscious that it's important that people are able to afford their loans, and as a result we have very strict affordability criteria, because we think that's part of treating customers fairly and recognising that they need to live their lives as well as pay their mortgage.
OK, Fionnuala Earley from the Nationwide, thanks very much for your time this morning. Now, you can see our business editor Michael Wilson's blog on the housing figures on our website. Do have a look at it, and more importantly,